Yeah, we're live streaming.
Got it.
We are live.
We got
Hey,
a party.
good afternoon, everybody. Bob Spitz here from Drive, along with Tony Whistler. And we have some very special guests today on the show. We have Mark Bagg from Connecticut, from New Canaan Foreign Car. We've got John Starkey from Hawaii, and they're managers. And what we're going to be talking about is that transitional period and getting from where you are to really a stage 4 situation. And both of these gentlemen have successfully done that. And my hat's off to you, because I want to tell you, that's not easy. And you know it. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication and a little bit of luck. And and we're going to start right off. But first, Mark, why don't you introduce yourself? I mentioned where you are and the name of your shop, but the kind of shop you have, all that jazz.
Mark Bagg, New Canaan Foreign Car. We're in southwestern Connecticut, and our shop specializes mainly in European cars. We do work on some Americans and Japanese. We also do a fair amount of classic and antique cars as well.
Right. And John Starkey, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm John, and Zach is my manager. We're in Honolulu, Hawaii. We've been in business for 7 years. We're a $3 million a year shop. We have about 13 employees. We work on all makes and models. We don't work on cars that are older than 22, 23 years old, nothing that starts with a 1. And yeah, it's been a good run. I've been with Drive since 2019. Zach's been with me for 5 of the 7 years I've been in business. So he's seen me through the tough times, and here we are.
That's
not that
fabulous.
It's not tough still. It's still a little tough, but when I look back at what we went through, everything seems so simple now, compared to what we were doing before.
Well, you bring up a good point there, John. There is no such thing as a perfect shop. There's just the ability to know how to handle confusion.
That's right.
And problems.
Right.
You either know how to do it or you don't.
Right.
Mark, would you introduce yourself?
Which Mark?
Oh, Mark G.
My name is Mark Calvis. I'm the general manager here at New Canaan Foreign Car, and we're in Connecticut, and it's raining like crazy over here.
Oh, how unusual.
this time of year.
And Zach, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Zach Dewater. I run Starkey's Auto Repair. I've been in the industry for about 22 years now. I have gone through those growing pains with John, and we've become successful on the other end.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and for those who are on who might not know, I used the term earlier about stage 4. Stage 4 is when a shop is in the condition where the owner does not have to be involved in the day-to-day operation. They've got a management structure put in place, which does free them up to pursue other interests. And one of those interests we call stage 6, and that's when you start helping others in the industry and giving back. And this is a little bit of a stage 6 event right here, them sharing their successful actions and ideas with you. And Mark is also an instructor for Drive. He instructs a couple of our master workshops. In fact, we have one coming up October 9th. Isn't that right, Tony?
Yeah, it's controlling the front. It starts on the 9th, and Mark Bagg is the instructor. This is one of those workshops that delves pretty deep into the nuts and bolts of what you're actually doing with your shop. And it's a great opportunity for you to learn about how the workflow works. But I also love the fact that we have a person owns a shop, and now Mark may not be in the shop every day because he is a stage 4, but he's there and he's observing and he's with the business, and having his insight with the Drive materials is very, very good.
Yeah,
Mark,
it's very valuable.
You want to add anything to what I said about instructing that class?
Sure. Actually, it's a really essential course that I think that all shop owners need to take, because we go over workflow. That's really the basics from beginning to end. And I think once you take it, you know, if you think you have inefficiencies, you can't get the stuff out the door, things of that nature, or you're having trouble up front and say, you know, it's one of the, I'll just use a classic thing is, you got this huge job, it's going to go out on Friday, it's $4,000, payroll is that day, and you need one little gasket, $3, and nobody wrote it down that you needed it. Okay. And there goes that job for the week. So we teach you things like that. It's essentials, and it will improve if you do it, it'll really improve your shop flow and your efficiency.
Right.
Excellent.
Now, Mark, your background wasn't actually automotive, was it? When you got into this crazy industry, you were shooting to be a stockbroker?
Yeah. So, well, I got into this business when I was 19 years old. I was cleaning toilets at a dealership. I decided I wanted to go to college because this wasn't for me. Went to college, got a degree in finance. I worked a little bit part-time in college in the industry, just in the parts department. And then I became a stockbroker, and I was a broke stockbroker. I had an opportunity to buy the business. So my dad lent me the money, and I bought the business, and I found out I didn't know anything about running a business. So,
Right. Yeah. So you've had quite the experience from startup to where you are now. And John, you were in the industry, correct?
Well, I worked for a car dealership. I was a salesman, and then I wrote subprime loans. So people who had bad credit, I wrote loans for them. I'd never been in a shop before I bought my shop. I kind of fell into it. I actually bought it to buy and sell cars, and it turned into what it is today, not by intent, but out of necessity to make enough money to feed my family. Cars started coming in. My friends who ran dealerships asked me to fix their cars. I started hiring people. But, you know, of course, you know the story. It's not, I'd never even been in a shop before, so I didn't even know like anything about it. I didn't know the parts of the car. So it was a very steep learning curve. And then Zach joined me 2 years into it, and he helped me bring some structure into the organization. He did everything, tech, service right. Now he's my manager. And I think, you know, this is a good time to talk about the talent you have in your shop currently may surprise you. Like, Zach, I didn't even give him the role when he started being my manager. Like, he started doing all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, you're like my manager now. Like, is that what you want to do? And he's like, I'd love to. And then we started to put it all together. And I think that maybe Mark can attest to this. It's the biggest challenge most owners have is trust. You know, it's like you think you know how to do things. You think you're good at it. You think nobody can do it better than you. Well, let me tell you, there's a ton of things in that shop that Zach does way better than I do, way better. I just get out of his way and I let him run. And he's really amazed me with what he's been able to do in such a short time. You know, we have this huge rail project in front of our shop that's going on. If it wasn't for that, we probably would have done about 3.5 million this year. And I asked him, I went to a expo and I said, Zach, do you want to run $1 million a month shop? Because I think we could do it in Honolulu. If that's what you want, if that's what you, and I told him he's going to buy the company from me in 13 more years. And I gave him a nice career path. I show him a life that I live. If I can live it, you can live it. You buy this, replace yourself, you build what you want to buy, what you want to own, and off you go. It's really, I think that that's the key to having a successful manager is releasing that responsibility to him and watch him run and flourish. And he's just amazed me at what he's done.
Yeah, well, you know, that's such a valid point. And so many shop owners get stuck on that point of not releasing power, not trusting the people that you have to relinquish that power to. And Mark,
even when they fail, you got to support them. Like, you know what, that didn't work out, but we learned from that. I never harp on things. You know, sometimes we're at like Wednesday end of day and we're at like 25,000. I'm like, I'm scared because I need 56, but you know what? Come Thursday, Friday, they knock down like 20 grand, 15 grand a day. And it's like, wow, we hit it. You got to trust and not be overburdening them on not stressing them out. Let them do their job. Let them face the pressures. Let them deal with the stresses, but also get in there and help. Like I got to go in today because we have 3 people out today. So I'm going back. I just surfed and I'm going back to the shop after this.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
What you described was so like just amazing. I was curious what Zach's perspective on it is.
Yeah, so like we butted heads in the beginning because I could see the things that he wasn't seeing, or I was able to witness it firsthand when he wasn't here. And then we had this like come to Jesus talk where we sat down and I was like, I've got this, but I need you to stay out of the way, or like saying okay to things that I'm not okay with. And so now he filters every question through me instead of what you guys call backdooring things, like whether it's customers or employees, that they have to come directly to me because there's things that I'm not okay with that he in his mind would be like, yeah, that's okay to take today off, not knowing what I already have scheduled, not knowing what's going on for the day. And like he was explaining, like there are weeks on Tuesdays or Wednesdays when we're at $15,000 or $20,000, but I know what the guys are doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I know how much money's coming in. I know what's closing to AR. I know I know everything that's going on at the shop. And so I just go, relax. And sometimes he relaxes, sometimes he doesn't. But what he's noticed and the trending pattern is that when I tell him to relax and then we hit those numbers, like it builds that trust that he's talking about. Now, if every Wednesday we're at 20 grand, I was like, just chill. And then we do 25 for the week. Like that's not gonna like build any kind of rapport. And I tell him like, Tuesday, like, rails got us blocked over here. Like our car count is low. Like we're going to have low income for the week, or, these people are out and this is what I'm projecting for the week. Like I do my projections for the weeks and the months to try to figure out what we're going to hit. And I let him know those numbers up front so that like when D-Day comes, he's not surprised by it.
Right. Mark G, how was the transition for you from Mark running the show to you running the show?
In the beginning, like you said, it's I could see, I could understand the when you, especially Mark's been here for 30 years, and to have that trust, and seeing all the things that people come in and out of the job and trusting them and then them not following through. It was hard at times. I had to show him that I was true and that I wanted to be here all the time. And I saw his vision and I wanted to, to first and foremost, make him happy. If he's happy, I'm happy. And he saw that we're both kind of on the right path. And I wanted his dream to come true, and honestly, for me, if, when I was younger, I said, if I bought a business, what is the dream that everybody wants? We want to have a business where we're kind of not involved, we're making money, we're happy. And it's kind of like, you make a few phone calls, how's everything going? Boom, boom, bang. And then you hang up and then you don't have to talk to them for the rest of the week. And it always stuck in my mind, that's what I wanted for him. And then I also wanted the opportunity for me. And it wasn't easy, bumps and bruises. But we had good communication. We talked a lot. It wasn't always easy. It's almost like, I think at times like almost like a father and son thing where, I try to, put my opinion in there and, we work together. In the beginning, it wasn't always like that, but, we got through it and we stuck with it. We didn't give up. There was times where I'm like, do I want to continue? But I knew that, we were on the right path and, here we are and everything's going pretty good. We're doing another transition here. And it's just working out. We got good people and, especially for me, I like to come to work and that's the most important thing. So.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Well said.
That's great. One of the problems, I know managers, haven't been in this industry a long time and have worked with managers and owners, and sometimes owners are their worst enemy when they've got a manager and they do not relinquish that power, or they interfere, or they do things that are against their own policy. And you're going, whoa, wait a minute. Has having things in writing, I know that both your shops are working with developing playbooks. Is having policies in writing and procedures in writing, has that helped?
In my
Yeah,
opinion,
we're just
I think
in the. Go ahead, Mark.
was going to say, in my opinion, that's probably the single most important thing that you can do as an owner is get everything that you know on paper, because otherwise, every time somebody leaves, well, guess what? Now you got to remember what it is you said. You got to figure it out. But if you have it all in writing, so you hire somebody and you say, okay, we're going to teach them this, and this, and you can send them assignments. If we use the playbook Drive app, and I think that's probably the single most important thing. And to get the manager on board, we will take a course through Drive, right? It's a course for the manager and for the owner to get all that stuff out. And once you do that, if you got a good manager, they're going to follow it and they care like you do. And you've got it made.
Yeah.
Very cool.
John?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing that we've made it this far with having the lack of playbook in place on paper. We do have a lot of understandings the way the shop runs. I'm going through the playbook app, the playbook apprentice program right now with Carla. So I have been writing quite a few policies, procedures, and I'm doing that with Zach. In fact, he got pretty upset the other day after Carla had talked to him about a playbook, and he went and wrote a policy when he was mad. And I haven't yet told him that we're not supposed to do that, but he pulled it out in our meeting and had everybody sign it. And it was actually very well written. There was not a lot of emotion in it, but Zach, we don't write them when we're mad.
Yeah, well, I heard Carla say that, and like I've grown up with you're responsible for your second thought and your first action. So I wrote the first one pissed, I reread it, and then I rewrote it, and that's what I gave to my guys.
That's why it was so good.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
you go.
It was spot on. I was surprised. I was a little worried because I was in the meeting.
Yeah,
One of the things that I like to teach in Essentials of Shop Management is I don't have a problem with you writing a policy when you're really angry. I just want to make sure it never sees the light of day.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
it's like a therapy. It could be therapeutic to write an angry policy, but you better make sure that nobody ever sees it and then you refine it until when you're in a better state mentally, then it communicates better. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean,
But we shorten it to you don't write an angry policy. You were going to say, Zach?
But you got to get it out, right? Because if you write that policy in like the correct terminology or with the right temperature to present to them, but you're still harboring that emotional like boundary crossing on the other side, that's still going to get fed out there. So you get it out. Like I pull John upstairs and I sit him down and I just vent for a minute. And then we come up with solutions. But if I just try to aim for solutions right off the bat without getting that out, it would be driven so like dramatically from what is upsetting me or like what's not going right or whatever it is at the moment. So it is really important to get those things out and then have that trust or relationship with your owner manager to be able to say like, this is what's not working and we got to figure something out here. And then you come up with a solution. And we've done that for years now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd like
Well,
to add to that. Oh.
Go ahead.
Mark and I do the exact same thing. Mark knows he can call me at any time. It doesn't matter what's going on. If he's frustrated, he can call me and say whatever he wants. And I don't get mad about it. And even if say he makes a mistake, I don't care if he makes mistakes. I know he's going to make mistakes, right? Whatever. So he's just allowed to say whatever he says. And I'll say, okay, Mark, go ahead and put it in writing. And then Mark, how do you feel after you do that?
I feel much better. There's been quite a few times that we have a dumpster in the back of the shop where I have to kind of go hide and let it out. And, he's on the phone and he just listens. And then when I'm running out of breath, he told me, he's like, write it down on paper so I won't take it home with me. And, that's what we do. We help each other out. And it's been a big help for me, not only here, but obviously, in the real world too, to kind of, keep this shut more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Work-life balance. John knows I love him, but he knows he can't get a hold of me after 5:30. Like,
Good.
that's my strong boundary. And like, I put that in place a few years ago and he'll text me, but I have him on silent. So I'll see it, like if I see it or in the morning. And if it's an emergency, he calls a couple of times, then it finally rings through. But if he's just venting or has an idea, like that work-life balance needs to be separated because I am happy to come to work. I love coming to work, but I love going home too. And like having that like definitive break in my day.
Great.
Oh, I think that's so very important. Otherwise, it leads too many guys to burnout. But
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you guys are putting these procedures in place. You know, one of the questions, Mark and Zach, that when I used to do shop inspections, I would talk to the manager or the service advisor and I'd ask, look, you get hit by a bus tomorrow morning. Can I come in here and take over your job?
Mm.
And one for one, they'd say, no way.
Nope. I'm
But
sorry.
if there was a playbook there, I might have a chance, you know.
Yeah, we're
So,
starting that. I was just introduced to it at the last Expo, and I've been talking with Carla and John about it. So I have, my playbook starting. I've started to, notate what I do throughout the day, especially if it's something that's kind of a one-off every once in a while. So
Mhm.
that if I get sick or I'm out, like somebody could walk in, hopefully John, and be able to like take over what I got going on.
yeah,
You know, Bob and Tony, that kind of parlays right into what this is about, is bringing these guys to the expo, right? That's,
Yeah.
that is such
absolutely.
I tried to bring Zach last year, and, right at the 11th and a half hour, the shop got completely crazy. We had employees, just everything was wrong. And he's
Yep.
like, man, I can't go. He goes, John, I can't leave the shop. I want to go. I can't go. But being able to bring him to this last expo was a total game changer. We get all excited. We're sharing resources, ideas. We're meeting people. Everybody, we've got so much stuff going on in a few days at the expo that you're learning, and you come back, you're super, super excited, and you're like, Zach, a million miles a minute. And he's like, trying to absorb what he can, but he'll never be as excited as I will be because he didn't experience that.
Yeah.
Right.
If you have key people in your shop that are really your core group of guys, it's just so beneficial to bring them to your expo. You guys put on such a wonderful show, and let them mingle with people. And I sit at the table, I'm like, Zach, go sit over there. I know you. Go over there and meet people and talk to people, and you get some good resources, get some ideas, meet some people. You can bounce things off when things get all crazy, or I get crazy and you hate me one day. You could call Mark out there in Connecticut. That's the whole idea behind Drive, is the networking and the resource sharing. And that's how you build a better business.
I'd like to
Very
add
good.
to what you said, Bob, about, okay, if the manager got hit by a bus, what's going to happen? And that goes back to the playbook, because if you have a playbook and it's an essential tool for training. So Mark was able to come out because we have a service advisor we just promoted to service manager, and she knew how to run the shop. She could do it for a week, no problem. She did fine. And if somebody's out, if you continually train your team to train them up to the next position, then if somebody drops out, and we know how that goes, people just, for whatever reason, sometimes they have to move and off they go. If you have somebody in training coming up, using your playbook, then if somebody drops out, boom, you've got somebody. That, and of course, you're recruiting all the time. So then you fill the lowest position and start moving them up again.
Yeah, and cross training is important. It's like if we have somebody
Yes.
for one day, like our shop hand can work our front desk. He knows how to use the operating systems, the SMS. He's good with customers. He doesn't like to do it, but when we're in pinches, it's not his forte, but he does it, and he does a great job.
Yep.
Yeah. Mark G, what are you doing for backup?
Everything. I actually got lucky when I came into the company. I was here for about 6 months and COVID hit, and you know how that went. And our manager here had to stay home with his kids, and I was kind of thrown to the wolves. But me and Mark always talked about it after, and he always says, I had to sit here and make 30 phone calls to get customers here and try to get work going. And it really helped out, and I learned every aspect of the whole thing. I was a tech for 10 years, so if I really had to go in the back and do something, I would. But I learned every process. It was a little rough because a lot of times I had to learn on my own, but Mark did as best as he could with the timing. But I think it all worked out well. So I just, I help out everywhere, and I just keep tabs on everything, and I'm involved in everything. I'm a very, I don't want to say wiry person, but I'm all over the place. So I'm always over somebody's shoulder, not to that effect that it's like I'm annoying people, but I have to be involved and know what's going on. I just have to. And I think, but if you do it in the right way, it works out. So that's what I've been doing lately. So
If you need a day off or something, what do you do for backup in regard to that? Do you have to worry very much about it?
no, I even told you when we were in Vegas, I was like, you know what? I just realized we're both here and we're not there and everything's working out. And
Beautiful.
it felt really good. And I was like, I was like, and that's from all of us working together, good training. If we didn't train people correctly and cross training, I totally agree. And I still have to do cross training with our service advisors, show them how to dispatch. It really plays a big part. Not everybody's going to be well all the time or not be available. So, they just move around and there's no pushback and everybody gets involved. It might not be perfect, but you at least you at least get through the day and it's productive.
I
I
think
have one phone call while we were at the expo, right? Not one.
No,
That's
I was actually-
amazing.
yeah, I was like, are we even open?
Yeah, I mean, we had that same realization, and it's very interesting. Like one of the best takeaways from Drive is like, how many hats do I wear and what am I willing to give up? And so when I got back, I delegated all these like very minor jobs that I was like adding into my schedule every week and delegated them out to people who have no problem putting that into, their schedules during the week. And it's been like a big breath of fresh air. And so now when John comes to me and says, hey, we need to do this, like I'm not trying to pack it in between, everything else that I have going on, because I've alleviated a lot of these other jobs that I've been doing.
That's great. Yeah. Delegation is the first step, right?
Yeah.
That's hard. That's the hardest thing to do, is let go and delegate. You got to let people make mistakes. You got to let it do it on their own, and you just
Well,
coach them along.
Yeah, from an owner standpoint, like relinquishing all power of your baby to a manager that then steps up to make sure that it runs exactly as if you were there when you're not. So for us to give those things away, like we feel that same power dynamic handing things out as they did when they handed them to us.
Well,
the
sometimes
surprising.
owners are wonderfully
Bob.
surprised when they turn that over and find you do it better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Bob. Zach has surprised me in so many different aspects of our business. I've had, I had an employee steal some stuff from me and I'm like, oh, he's having a bad day. It's, he doesn't have it. So he wanted it from me and it's not going to happen again. And Zach's like, oh, out, you're gone. You're fired.
For sure, it's not going to happen
And
again.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm like,
right.
but wait, I think I need that guy. He's like, we don't need a criminal around here. He's out, Whoa,
Awesome.
okay, He's like, go surfing, get out of here, go to the beach. I got this. Okay.
Now, I have a question for the owners. You guys, what kind of a training program do you guys have for these guys with the Drive workshops? How much of the Drive stuff are they getting and workshops are they getting?
Mark has taken all the master workshops, and he has taken a fair amount of the action coaching workshops, the ones that are hour to an hour and a half. And now that we stepped up our service advisor to a manager, he is now transitioning to full-time manager. So he'll be able to do a lot more training through the Drive. There's a lot more things he could learn.
And how's
And
that going, Mark?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark Bag. You can finish. I'm sorry. I cut you
No,
off.
I was going to ask Mark the same question. How do you like the training, Mark?
The training's been great. I mean, it answers a lot of the questions that I had, and also things that I thought I knew, maybe I didn't know as well. And it's hard sometimes, like we talk about, you've done something a certain way for so long, and then you have somebody tell you to do it, well, maybe you should do it this way, and then you actually do it, and then you find out it's better. It stings sometimes, but it's all about taking suggestions. And I tell people all the time, I told them when we got here, the biggest thing I got from the expo, the main common denominator, when people didn't follow Drive suggestions, they paid for it. And then when they followed Drive suggestions, they got rewards. And it's hard. You think you know everything, but you don't. So, but the training's been good. I learned a lot, and I'm going to continue now that I got a little bit more freed up time. I'm really going to dive into it. I want to just keep going to the next level.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Fantastic.
And then
Well,
John,
it's hard to believe we're up against our half hour already, Tony.
I
It
know, but I
goes-
want to give him
it
1
goes
minute.
so
You got
fast.
1 minute. You got 1 minute,
Well,
John.
1 minute, I could talk to that. So Zach has started to do the trainings. He's getting involved in that. And he actually took the next step. And, in the 20 group, we have our peer group meetings. We have our 20 group. There's 7 of us. Well, Zach actually started one for managers and he leads it. And every Thursday at 10 o'clock Hawaii time, he gets on a Zoom call with shop managers and he discusses with them the challenges and the operation and dealing with the owner and all that. And that's been very beneficial. I believe that he's been running that and we have really high hopes for that to really take off with everybody who has a manager in place, because you guys have your own challenges as managers. And, sometimes you don't have anybody to turn and talk to, and to have a peer group of your own, I think is very beneficial.
That's
Awesome.
a great idea. Fantastic, Zach. Well done.
Thank
Well-
you. I appreciate that, Bob.
Yeah, we do have to wrap here. Tony, I think this has been an excellent show.
Wonderful.
Guys, thank you so much for your input.
Thanks for
It's
having
always
us.
great to hear successes. That's what we live for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
And,
guys.
Wish you all a great day and a great weekend.
You guys
Thank
too.
you.
guys.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye now.
Bye, guys.